Africa is afraid that Black Americans will reveal this. So again, I want this to be an objective review. Um, where I agree, I will say I agree, and where I disagree, I'll say why I disagree. So, but just right off the bat, Africa is afraid. Africa is not afraid of anything. First of all, we're not a monolith. 54, some people say 55 countries with a diverse culture and a very beautiful culture. Okay, across the board, from Cairo all the way down to Cape Town. So to live in Africa and even just think of us or like write something boldly like this. See, this is the disrespect that I push back on, right? That they won't understand that some of us are have had enough of just sitting on the sidelines and watching them. I know these guys, right, from living here. I'm doing what I know because they're usually thin skinned. They're not as thick skinned people as they are made out to be. They're very emotional people. So I know that I can get back. I can do exactly what they're doing. And it's going to hurt more because the Africans in general are not on the internet. They're working 2 jobs, they're working 3 jobs, they're making shit happen for their families. They don't have the time like these people do. So I have some time, at least I have some time. Thank goodness I have some time. I have some dough and I don't need your money. So I can come here and have fun with it and also wake my people up. And by my people, I'm talking about all Africans and friends of Africa. If I don't start doing this, it's a one-way thing. They've always been punching and we're just not focused on them, right? We're not focused on them. Like I've said many times, we don't come to America for them, like that's like the least group of people that we want to be associated with. So why would they think that we are here for them? We're not here for them at all. Actually, we're trying to run away from y'all. So when they talk about delineation and all that stuff, it's good for us because in our minds we've already been like we understand the ancestry part of it, but we know the ancestry is the only thing, but we're very disconnected and it's never gonna come together. Okay. No matter all the fake stuff they do with today's Pan-Africanism and how they hijack stuff, it's never gonna come back to it. I've said that Africans in America, you're better off living in a white neighborhood than trying to think you can make something out of being part of this group because you're never gonna understand how they operate. And 9 out of 10, you might get hurt trying to be a pioneer in a relationship that can never be put together. Okay. You've seen what they're doing to you, right? Why are they not doing this to like Mexicans? There are more Mexican migrants in America. Why are they not doing it to Mexicans? Because they're scared. Salute to you, my brother. They're scared. That's what I said. These are weak people. They kill themselves en masse. Why do they shoot themselves all the time? In the old days in Africa, if you have a conflict with another group, you fist fight. You show who's the boss, right? These guys just use guns because like the weakest person just has to take a gun and finish the other person, right? So their approach to even conflict is always very useless. It's emotional, it's feeling. So you want them to delineate. They say it on the internet, nobody says anything like, as if, oh, we're gonna feel some type of way. We're not gonna feel some type of way, okay? There are other descendants or people that claim ancestral ties to Africa that live in the Caribbean, that live in South America. We cool with those because at least they left some semblance of their African identity. If you go to Afro-Colombians, there's a lot of their festivals that are in line with us. These groups are very different. You don't have to be too worked up in their issues because you're going to spend your whole life trying to understand why they do certain things, okay? And after 20 years, I still don't get it, okay? I want Africans that listen to me to also not want to try to get it. Because if you try to get it, you're gonna be wasting your time on the internet, fighting them with their oftentimes uneducated takes. They speak a lot, speak too fast for of nothing, you know. And the guy that leads them, Tariq Nasheed, didn't even finish high school. I mean, make that make sense, right? So leave them out of the way. Now, the ones that want to come for the ride along, move along with us, let them do it. They're free to come, but don't be over there extending a hand and thinking that you're going to be, you know, what's the murder rate in Africa? That's a very dumb question again. Africa is a collection of countries, different cultures and different diverse political structures. Not every country on the continent is at war. Okay. I can guarantee you the murder rate in Zambia is going to be much lower than anywhere in the West. I can that much guarantee you. Same with Kenya, same with Uganda. You know, 54 countries. If you got 54 countries and close to maybe 45 of them have almost no gang violence or murder or, you know, all that kind of nonsense that goes on here in the inner cities, that's a win to me. At least that's a win. It's not a tit for tat thing. It's just that all we're saying is that the fight is not even against the guys in Africa. They're doing it against the people that have migrated here, you know. And it's also even affecting other generation of Africans that were other Americans that are like my children that are born to African parents. They're entitled to this country as much as these people are. So, but they're forming these groups thinking that it, you know, like it's a hate group. It's what it is. But that's the topic for tomorrow. Today I'm talking about Africa. Yeah, they're scared of the Mexican, and they can't be with Asians because Asians make more money than them. You know, a lot of their gripe with us is because we're kicking ass. Shit, we're kicking ass in America. And that's tomorrow's video because I got a whole template to go through tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Where is the crime in West Africa? I'm from West Africa. You can walk around in Ghana all day long and nobody's even going to look at you. Petty theft, pretty much, is all you're going to get. Petty theft, cell phone theft, a little petty theft here and there. You know, there's mob justice in a lot of African countries. So these crime things don't even exist. Exactly. Gang violence is not part of our shit. We don't even know what that is. It's not there. And it never will be. It's not there and it never will be, you know. All right, let me get to this guy. So Africa is afraid, no, first of all, Oshay, we're not afraid of anything. Connecting this to the old video, clearly he didn't go to Africa because he was a Pan-Africanist. He went to Africa because he saw some big booty in Uganda, and he's made that clear in that video. That was his primary motivation of going there. So I'm not going to be surprised if this doesn't go well, but let's go.
Right. So my last stream, my beautiful mother happened to be on the stream. I've been discouraged about the state and the conditions of what goes on, not only in this country, but in Africa as a whole.
10 more minutes.
Okay? I've been very discouraged
Before you leave, but you'll be ready.
when you accept the truth for what it is. Okay? And I came here, like many other Black Americans, with a lot of hope, with a
I want to say this. If you live somewhere and you don't like certain things about the place, I want to give him that, afford him that opportunity to be able to criticize certain things that you don't like about the place, right? It's not everything in America that I like, all right? But there's more that I like than I dislike. So you won't find me being a critic of USA in that regard, right? And that's just me. Also, because of colonization, there is something called neo-colonization. The idea that you think that we should make our countries suitable for you, even though you're not from there. This is why I said Black Americans are Western people. They are not Africans. They'll have African ancestry. They have African ancestry, but they don't know anything about Africa and the African continent. I don't see them any differently than a white dude coming from the US to Ghana. Really, it's not any different because they are Americans. This is where you live and this is how you do things. You guys have the same idea of how things function. You know where to turn on the light switch. You know when to turn it off. You know, if you brought a South Sudanese to America in the very first day, you expect him to drive perfectly, probably not going to happen. That's exactly what is happening here. These fools on the internet take this as hate, and it's actually the truth. You're Black by ancestry. It doesn't mean that you're from the place. You're from where you're from. Where your passport says you're from is where you're from. Where you're born and raised is where you're from. So people need to be cautious when they go to the African continent and they want African countries to be like here. You're going to run into a lot of pushback. They're good where they are. Leave them alone.
A lot of joy with so much to look forward to in working with the people here in this beautiful continent. And I love it. I still do love it. But I cannot come on here and be a liar. And this is what many African countries would love for us to do. You see, what Africans, especially the ones at the top level, when they encounter Black Americans, they want us to sell Africa also. Okay, this is what they want to do. And again, at the same time, you're trying to work with Africa, promoting Africa.
Yeah, I agree with them here. They tend to want people to promote Africa. And I hate that. I made a video about it. I hate this overextending of Africa to Black America. I hate that. I hate that they do that. Let people go there based on their own research, based on something that interests them. This idea of trying to, and this is where a lot of the fraud happened. And I called out, there's a video on my channel where I called out the Ghanaian government, my previous administration, before they got booted out. They started that stupid ass year of return. What are you returning to? You were never there. What are you returning to? And the year of return was spearheaded by celebrities. They were not trying to get the average guy to come and see Africa. They were trying to get celebrities to come over there and spend their money. And Michael Blackson, who is a Ghanaian American, got scammed by the Ghanaian Ministry of Finance. A $1 million bond that he never got his money back until he said something on the internet. So you're going there, you're dealing with what we've dealt with, corrupt administrations and corrupt governments. Not all of them, but for the most part, it's endemic, it's over there, it's been part of the African experience, okay? I hate it, but it's there. And they're doing this not because they love Black Americans. They're doing it, and they're not even targeting the average Black American. They're targeting the Black American with elite status, the ones that have a few $1 million to blow up. And like Jaru just did in Ghana, he built them a school. Like, well, what about all the taxes that the Ghanaian government has taken from Ghana? Why wouldn't they build schools with that money? Okay, why are they not getting support from the Ghanaian diaspora? And I know the diaspora here in Dallas does a lot. They built a hospital in Ghana too. But even when you've built them this stuff, getting them to even permit you to build it, sometimes you have to go through people. There's always a corruption trail. And whenever they talk about this whole immigration things, some of the biggest critics of these governments have had to flee to the US for being critics. That's why they are political asylees. Not everybody is, but there's some people that have been big critics that can't go back to their home countries because of criticized this stuff. Where Oshay lives, He lives under a dictator called Museveni. Okay? Have you ever heard him criticize Museveni? Of course he can't. If he does criticize Museveni, he won't last 1 week in Uganda. So as part of his peace and to be able to live there, sometimes they want something back. And that's why they're telling him to, hey, you got a big platform, say good things about us. This is the old developing country playbook. It's not new. And I'm not afraid to say that's the truth. I mean, I agree with him here a little bit.
Africa, you're spending your money. You're investing your money. But then whenever you start to be critical of what you see here or shit that don't make sense, all right?
Yeah, I agree, man. I hate that year. I hated that year of return, and I wanted to go back and do another thing. I said, man, I don't want, I hate it for even more extreme reasons, but man, I hate that shit, man. And it really made me, I go to Zambia more than I do Ghana. And that part of the reason was that year of return. It made Accra very expensive. Accra is so expensive right now. Man, I could go on and on about that shit, man.
Whenever you see that, all of a sudden, you don't know how things work in Africa. That's what they're going to tell you. Well, this is not how things are done here. See, you don't know how things work. They'll tell you by country. This is Kenya. This is Uganda. This is Ghana. This is not how things work in Africa. Okay? That's what they're going to tell you. All right? And whatever trials and tribulations that you are going through, you're having with certain people here or with these people here, you're supposed to eat it. Okay? You're supposed to kiss ass. You're supposed to be okay with every type of problem that they give you. Now, you got to understand, they don't want to deal with your problems at all. They don't.
Yeah, because you're in your country. Why should they deal with your problems? America's not dealing with my problems. That's the thing. Like when you migrate, they say that when you move over there, they call you an expat, and then when we move here, they call us migrants, right? It's all migration. When you migrate, you've made a calculated decision that you're willing to deal with all the bullshit that goes on with it. Okay. I don't like being possibly shot at while shopping, but it happens in America and you got to deal with it.
Deal with your problems in America. When they come to the United States, they don't deal with your issues. We're going to be fair. Most Africans will stay away from Black Americans for whatever reasons, cultural stuff. So they don't want to deal with Black Americans' problems in America.
Well, that's true, but and I've explained that. We're not making that decision solely based on the fact that you're Black. We're making that decision because we know we're very different from y'all. We know that from the onset. Okay, it's widely publicized. We already know that. Okay. Also, most people migrate here. 63% of Africans, according to the USCIS, migrate here on family visas, family-based visas, which means that they have a family connection to the United States. So chances are when you come, you have somebody that's already established here. You're not going to go live with somebody else.